All right, hello everyone, and welcome in to the grand finals of Resurrection Cup 2023. We're here with Fresh Off the Boat versus Sleep Accommodation. Going to be the 2 of 3 teams which have made it into the grand finals last weekend, with Fresh Off the Boat losing to ESSA in winners finals and Sleep Accommodation making it all the way through the losers bracket as well, through No Title and Halcyon, after getting knocked down to losers bracket also by ESSA in the semifinals. So the winning team, or team awaiting these two in the winners finals, definitely a force to be reckoned with, and these two wanting the chance to prove themselves against that team once again. I'm Dio. I'm here with iFlame and Shiba for our first match of the weekend and the final match of the losers bracket.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. It's going to be a banger for sure. Like you said, 2 teams both knocked down by ESSA, and only one of them today will have a chance to get their revenge in the grand finals. Both of these teams have put up strong performances throughout the tournament otherwise, winning their matches pretty handily for the most part. Just unfortunately, neither of them have been able to get past ESSA, and so they find themselves facing up against each other. Let's go over the lineups super quickly. On Fresh Off the Boat, we've got Rectagon, Rhythmic, Cal, Decaton, MCY4, Window Life, Mega MK, and Worst HR Player.
Yeah, and for Sleep Accommodation, their opponents, both, let's just preface, both these teams, so eager to seek that revenge against ESSA in the grand finals, both falling to them, as already mentioned. But yeah, for Fresh Off the Boat, these guys have a star-studded roster, and for Sleep Accommodation, very strong as well. Welter, Lucrece, Omiya Kokoro, Nathan Ram, Scrowell, Lesbury, Aimbot Cone, and Richo. Both of these teams have some seriously staple tournament players, huge tournament names. I think for Sleep Accommodation, I think Welter and Nathan Ram particularly are 2 massive players, and Scrowell as well. Fresh Off the Boat, you can't not mention Rectagon and Worst HR Player, on top of having MCY and Decaton. All of these teams have so many star-studded rosters, and it's safe to say it's going to be a great match with this pool being so insanely high star rating. Difficulty is going to be a huge thing. Skill cap is going to be a massive factor in this, and whoever takes this gets the revenge story to be facing ESSA in the grand finals.
Yeah, we'll work on the echo, get that sorted out shortly, we hope. But these 2 teams have pretty different styles, actually. Sleep Accommodation, we'll wait until the so you can get rid of this echo before we keep talking about the teams.
Oh, there's been an echo this whole time. I didn't even notice.
Now I think it was due to monitoring device being the same as the output on OBS for Discord audio, so hopefully that should be fixed now as we get into, I guess, warm-up between these 2 teams. Just a hard tech map warm-up.
Yep, maybe a sign of what's to come. So Sleep Accommodation is a team that has very consistently banned out the No Mod 1 very frequently. They're big fans of the Free Mod 2 picks. And they have looked good on some of the Hard Rocks and the DTs as well, but up against Fresh Off the Boat, I'm not sure they're going to want to pick the DT. This team has been very dominant on the DT picks. I'm not sure they've lost one all tournament except possibly to ESSA. And Fresh Off the Boat, of course, has been absolutely loving the Hard Rocks, the DTs. Have tended to ban out some of the HDs and the Free Mod 2s, so do expect they're just going to ban out the Free Mod 2 again. That's something that Sleep Accommodation has first pretty consistently, but we'll see if they want to change it up here.
Yeah, I mean, so far we're just going for a quick little warm-up here, nothing major, just kind of getting the early jitters, the nerves out, and yeah, this map is super difficult. I mean, can't really let this translate into anything at all, but yeah, I think both these teams have some really good star-studded rosters. I think both these teams in particular are going to be fighting a lot for those aim-heavy maps. I think both these guys have some great aim players. that are going to really excel. Hard Rock is going to be a big strength for both these teams as well. There's going to be a lot of clashes here. I think the aim control and the Hard Rock are going to be two majorly competitive picks. Free Mod as well. Yeah, I'm liking both of these rosters quite a bit. Both these teams have got some history, having a shared victim, I guess. Both being victims of the unstoppable reign in ESSA, just completely obliterating the entire winners bracket and securing themselves that top spot, that big throne in the grand finals. And yeah, the story of both these teams are fighting for a chance at revenge.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, right? ESSA was the 2nd seed coming out of qualifiers, so Sleep Accommodation 3 seed, fresh off the boat, was the 1 seed. And I do think if either of these teams are going to be able to stand up to ESSA in the grand finals, they're going to need to find that consistency, that performance level that they did find in the qualifiers to knock them down to the 2 seed. But of course, that is not going to be easy.
I think if there's one thing that's been clear is that this grand finals and finals pool in this tournament have been a little bit higher in terms of skill cap than the qualifier stage. So yeah, sure, all these teams have great consistency. Fresh off the boat, maybe winning on that lower star rating, but now that the skill cap is being tested, maybe that's where ESSA edges out on. That's where maybe ESSA managed to secure a victory in that winners final stage. They may just have a little bit more of an excel in that high skill cap category, and that's where Fresh off the Boat and Sleep Accommodation are kind of fighting. They're both fighting in that struggle, but then they're going to be facing an opponent that's even more comfortable than them. So it's a huge uphill battle, even if one of these teams win.
Yeah, definitely tough. I'm not sure if we have one more warm-up or if we'll get straight into pick bands. Now you're mentioning the aim and how that would be highly contested, and I definitely agree. I would actually like to see Sleep Accommodation switch it up from the No Mod 1 ban that they have been going with for so much of the tournament. I think they could at the very least contest the No Mod 1 against Fresh Off the Boat, even if it might not be favored. Whereas something like the DT, I feel like is much more heavily Fresh Off the Boat favored, and you probably just want to ban that out instead. We are going to get one more warm-up.
Oh, yeah, another warm-up.
And this is going to be a, I believe it's going to be an alt map. Finger control, alt pick. Putting the tapping to the test here.
Yeah, I mean, we're just chilling so far. We're just kind of letting these players have a little bit of fun before the real hardcore stuff begins. Pretty fun background, pretty fun map. 8.35 stars though. So maybe it's safe to say that Sleep Accommodation kind of want to prioritize a little bit more practice for the respective pool, because they are missing a player. They're not too eager to opt into the warm-up, but they do still have Imicron, Reacher, and Window Life playing in there. But yeah, wouldn't it be cool? Here's a cool proposal. Wouldn't it be cool for tournaments to have their own warm-ups set instead of having players pick through? That's a cool idea that just came off the top of my head. Having tournaments make their own warm-ups.
I'm gonna be honest, that sounds miserable.
Really?
Having like 2 extra maps a week that nobody wants to play that don't count for anything.
Yeah.
No. Like, okay, no. Make
me when I add 2 extra maps for no reason that the players don't even necessarily want to play. I don't know about that one in particular.
No. Sorry, I might have described it wrong. I mean, as in like maps like tournaments can make like their own custom warm-ups that players have the option to choose if they want to play. Like, do we want to play warm-up? Okay, well here's warm-up 1 and here's warm-up 2. Which warm-up do you want to play? Instead of having like a specifically strict one, because the scenario where, for example, you could get one team to just pick an absolutely absurdly difficult or easy or like slow warm-up that puts off the team, for example. That's the thought that I was going with. But granted, there is a bit of a tradition with warm-ups where they always go for the fun, funky maps, that whatever they want to go for. So
yeah,
maybe.
I totally support this idea, and that way you can make every warm-up 30 seconds long. It would be incredible.
True. We won't have to deal with a 3 minute or 3 minute 59-second warm up, depending on the warm up rule.
The classic 3:59.
Yeah. You just have someone like quickly submit a map that's literally just the 5-minute TB but condensed into 3 minutes.
Yeah. Or the classic is 403 okay?
It's just 10 seconds, host. Please, ref, let me play.
Can we also talk about how worst HR player is just going off on this warm up? What does he do? Oh, there he goes. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, I mean,
this is just the worst HR player warm up. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot else to say besides this guy's really, really good at this kind of map. 540k is 1v3 against the other team, so yeah.
Yep. One of those is his teammate too. Very cool. Yeah, worst HR player is an aim control demon, and this pool has quite a bit of aim control in it actually throughout.
It's this might gives you a taste. It gives you a frightening taste of what worst HR player is capable of, right? I mean, the dude's always been an absolute maniac on aim control, gimmick, reading, and just generally well versed as well as a tournament player. Granted, this map pool being a lot more specific and a lot more difficult, maybe we see a little bit less of him and more on those specialized maps, but yeah, absolute star on those respective skill sets.
Yeah, Sleep Accommodation are going to be winning the rule here, and they're going to be opting to first pick. Of course, we're going to get the second ban for fresh off the boat. Nobody wants that first ban.
So the ban number 1 is going to be decided here for Sleep Accommodation. What bans do you think they're going to go for? Because I think I remember you mentioning how they've recently banned that normal one, but maybe they want to ease into a little bit more now. Maybe
yeah.
DT another valid option to get rid of.
Exactly that. I think they have banned DT1 consistently, but I think right now DT should probably be the ban. Fresh off the boat is just so good at DT. I don't think you can afford not to ban that against them. Ban out the DT you're worst on. Leave it there. The other one I could possibly see is the Hidden. This is a team that has not really liked to play the Hidden picks, whereas Fresh off the boat is at least solid on the Hiddens, but they're gonna ban out the Hard Rock 2 instead. A little bit surprising actually, considering they do have a few solid Hard Rock players on this team. Fresh off the boat, I would not be surprised if we see them ban out something like the Free Mod 2.
We're seeing some very unique bans here, I think. We were suspecting that Sleep Accommodation wanted to get rid of that massive kind of specifically tapping mechanics heavy DTs. But it seems to be Fresh off the boat that's going to be getting rid of the DT3 and Sleep Accommodation get rid of the Hard Rock 2. I'm a little surprised about that, considering that not only do Sleep Accommodation have a lot of really formidable Hard Rock players, they've also got just generally some fantastic aim control in general. I think Nathan Ram's a particular player to reach out for in that regard. Being very good on these specific gimmicky versions of each respective mod and being great in the aim control requirement. But Sleep Accommodation are going to follow up that ban with a non-mod 5, which is also a very weird aim control pick. So yeah, kind of, in my eyes at least, on paper, a little strange. I would expect them to get rid of the tapping mechanics heavy, but maybe they're feeling a bit more comfortable here. Fresh off the boat, getting rid of the DT3 instead.
Yeah, I completely agree. The bans are kind of...
I think this matchup is like a little... Yeah, I think this matchup is a little odd because I think against a lot of other teams, you're going to see Fresh off the boat be very good on speed and Sleep Accommodation be relatively good even on stuff like the aim control. But just comparing the rosters, yes, you do have good speed players on the side of Fresh off the boat, like Window Life and Caleb, for example, Rhythmic RS as well. But I think when it comes to like late round speed, they're kind of going to get fourth player gapped a little bit. Rectagon can fill for it, but he's not a speed player per se. And I think the same kind of goes for Sleep Accommodation here. in that I can put together a 4-player speed roster for them. Welter, Lucrece, Skrell, and Aimbot Cone is a very, very good speed roster. Rico as well can come in as a 5th person for speed, and I don't think you really have that for Fresh Off the Boat when it comes to like really high-level speed mechanics. And as for sleep accommodation, I think their aim control roster is a little tough to put together. You again have Welter, but Lucrece is not an aim player. Amamiya Kokoro and Nathan Ram, of course, are going to be on there. But then, like, who do you put in as your 4th? You have the Sperry, who's a good all-rounder, but doesn't have the kind of skill cap that you expect on aim control stuff, tech, and alt at this level. Whereas for Fresh Off the Boat, you've got Rectagon, you've got Dingleton, you've got MCY4, you've got Worst HR Player, you've got Mega MK as well, who can kind of fill for those sorts of things. So I think the narrative kind of gets flipped a little bit between these two teams when it comes to late stage stuff, specifically because the scaling on particular members who were filling those gaps beforehand, I don't think extends to Grand Finals level like it does for some of the other teams.
Yeah, and we do see the DT2 ban from Fresh Off the Boat as the final ban, and yeah, like you mentioned, that kind of core lineup of Rectagon, Worst HR, and then MCY4 is a really, really insane roster for these aim control maps, of which they have quite a few options. Of course, one of those banned out. Not wanting to play the precision either does make a lot of sense against players like Rectagon and Decaton.
And with those bans set through, DT3, DT0, Fresh Off the Boat, Hard Rock 2, Nomad 5, Sleep Accommodation, the first pick is going to be decided now by Sleep Accommodation. Now the question is, are they going to instantly go for that core strength? I suspect so. Normally in these volleyball tournaments, you want to get that point on the board, you want to get momentum going. If you lose your first pick to something that you're not ideally strong on, it's not too good. You kind of want to get that big first point on the board, especially in these team tournaments where you don't have any kind of secure, guaranteed victories because of how diverse each roster is. So their first pick, safe to say, is going to be one of their big core strengths going on here. There's not going to be a major saving strategy.
Yeah, Norman is the team that has liked to go for the free mod picks, but this week I feel like a lot of the free mod picks are a little bit more aim control and tech heavy, which plays more towards the style of Fresh Off the Boat. So I think they're going to have a much harder time going into the free mod picks if that's something they were thinking of doing. And they may be forced to stick to something like the DTs, like the Hiddens even, but it starts to get scary very quickly.
Yeah, I do think that you have like a pretty good tapping team for sleep accommodation here, and they are just going to go with the Nomad 2 to start. I think once you run out of other tapping maps in this pool, that's when things are going to start to get really interesting. You do still have the speed free mod 1, or rather, actually I think it's speed free mod 2 with the Sarenhide map. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah. You do still have one of the speed free mod picks and this Nomad 2, but after that, there's really not a lot of like just speed left in this pool. We might start to see them go into things like the DT1 or the Hard Rock 1 Nomad 1, but you're going to start to see the teams kind of have to diverge a little bit from the skill sets that they would have really wanted to go for here, and not sure why this is not auto-selecting the Nomad 2, but there we go. Nomad 2 first pick for Sleep Accommodation. Becoming Fire by Shadow of Intent. This is a custom map by Quantum Vortex as well. Lots of very, very long, highly spaced streams at 210 BPM. As is pretty standard for Nomad 2s at this star rating. It's over 8 stars as well, 3.5 minutes long. So definitely a pretty tough test of stamina. Who is Norman Fried Rice? Hold on. Who is that?
That is going to be Rhythmic.
That's Rhythmic RS. Okay.
That's Rhythmic. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, I guess Norman Fried Rice in for this one. Again, here you see Rectagon, Rhythmic RS, Window Life, and MCY4 in for Fresh Off the Boat right now. You know, MCY4 has good stream stamina at lower BPMs and slightly lower star rating. This man is getting 4th playered on this map. That said, I'm a little surprised to see Amamiya Kokoro in as well, but I think Amamiya Kokoro's stamina is just way better than the stream stamina for MCY4, so it's not super surprising to see that, like it is for MCY4 to be in here for fresh off the boat. I think even if you have, for example, Caleb not as comfortable on the Nomatsu flow aim, it might still be a better move than to have MCY4 in here, but we'll see how it goes for fresh off the boat as we get into the first map of the Grand Finals weekend, first map of the losers bracket finals between fresh off the boat and Sleep Accommodation. Sleep Accommodation's first pick on the Nomatsu.
Yeah, indeed. Here we go. As you already mentioned, this number 2 at this stage is absolutely brutal, super unforgiving, lots of insane flow streams and tons of stamina-induced issues here. If you can't get the raw stamina, you can't hold on at this rate. This is a super long map as well. I believe just over 3 minutes, 4 minutes maybe, if I remember correctly, checking the call again. 3 minutes, 26 seconds, 3.5 minutes. Pretty long, but going into this early stage so far, we're already seeing a couple misses here, specifically from Window Life, Amamiya Kokoro, and Aimbot Cone. Richo with a early miss kind of towards the very start, giving a small combo advantage for fresh off the boat. 3 FCs to 1, Lucrece being the only man standing. Actually, no, I believe he's reverse choking. So there are no FCs for Sleep Accommodation, but 2 reverse strokes from both Richo and Lucrece. So it's safe to say combo advantage going into this first quarter is going to fresh off the boat.
Yeah, even though you have the tapping bans coming out of fresh off the boat, I think the maps that they have left up are much, much better for them than the speed maps that they did ban out. Norman Fried Rice there, Rhythmic RS, going to be finding the drop, but it is still 2 FCs for MCY4 and Rectagon. Rectagon in particular is somebody I'm keeping my eye on in this match. He has shown that he has the skill cap to win 1v1s at the Grand Finals level, but there goes his combo on a random slider break. And now it's just MCY4 who is getting absolutely gapped on the Space Stream section. Window Life now the only high combo left for fresh off the boat. It's a chain miss for Amamiya Kokoro to follow, but still the reverse choke going strong for Lucrece. Rico and Aimbot Cone on very good combos as well. And you can see now why this is the first pick for Sleep Accommodation. The comfort level in the Space Stream section doing work for the score lead for them, and no combos to speak of on the side of fresh off the boat. It's really just Rectagon and MCY4 on a bit of a recovery. But that's it, and recovery is not enough right now.
And the map is only going to get harder as we get into the ending, as the stamina of the players starts to falter a little bit.
Big combos, big recoveries. You can already tell that those early misses from Sleep Accommodation just did not matter at all. We're already going into a massive flow-in section here, and those 2 big combos from Sleep Accommodation remain untouched. Aimbot Cone and Amamiya Kokoro may drop, but the recovery from Rectagon and Norman Fried Rice are just gone. It's just MCY4 and Window Life to try and fight back, but there's nothing they can do. Richo may drop, but Lucrece still stands going into this ending section. We're building up into the final quarter, and Lucrece looks absolutely unstoppable. The early miss meant nothing to him, clearly. He's looking so incredibly comfortable, and he's still holding, and he may drop, but I think the damage might have already been done. We're going into the final quarter. A little bit more TIs, a lot more breaks. Window Life being the big combo here for fresh off the boat. Aimbot Cone may drop. There is a big reset for Sleep Accommodation, and it's just a combo from Window Life and a little recovery from Rectagon, which is going to give them a little bit of wiggle room. But do they have enough time, and are they going to be able to hold on to this final section?
I don't know if there's enough time here. More misses to come out of Aimbot Cone. It's less than 100,000 score now, closing in on 50k or so, but just a sliver of map left. 1,100 combo and 99 accuracy almost for Window Life right now. At the end of this map may just be enough to do it. It's less than 10k now between these 2 teams, and Window Life continues to hold this massive combo. The one-man carry show for fresh off the boat, over 550k. Not quite the top score in the lobby. That honor goes to Lucrece, but it's enough to bring the point over to fresh off the boat and start us out with a break point, 1-0 for the higher-seeded team coming into the losers finals, the team from winners bracket that made it to the winners finals and was guaranteed top 3 last weekend, starting us off with a break point on, honestly, I think just a better team performance. You have multiple 400Ks coming out of Rectagon and MCY4, Window Life with that 560K, 570K, doing enough to secure the point by the end of it, and it ends up being a very, very good pick for them before we get the instant hidden 2 pick, and in fact, a bit of a quick swap there from the referee. We didn't get the chance to look at a lot of the scores there at the end of the lobby. So hopefully, even on instant picks, we can get a bit of a slower swap to the next map. But for now, iFlame, tell us about this map.
Yeah, let's so HD2 this time around, I believe, is going to be AR 7.5. So a little bit lower AR than usual at 170 BPM. It is going to be a little bit aim control focused, more so than your average Hidden 2 map, and that's going to look great for fresh off the boat. Not only that, sleep accommodation have been banning out the Hidden 2 as well, I believe, in more recent late stages, so I think this is a really smart pick from fresh off the boat, and sleep accommodation is going to be questioning themselves a little bit after that no mod 2 pick. That's presumably the pick they feel the most confident on. Compared to fresh off the boat, it's not going to get any easier to pick against them, and it's definitely going to hurt to lose out on that first pick, but we'll see how they can recover on the HD2 here.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty solid pick for fresh off the boat. You look at this team, and if you're not super familiar with the lesser-known skill sets of some of these players, you might think that this is going to end up being like a really tough map for them to win. But Rectigon has been very, very good at low approach rate hidden recently. Worst HR player is obviously going to be the carry player on this roster, or at least the player you expect to carry on a low approach rate pick like this. And Caleb C is actually relatively good at low approach rate as well, so I think that this roster is pretty solid for them. And as for sleep accommodation, again, you don't really have the full 4-player roster that you kind of expect to see in late stages for this map. Dingleton as well going to be coming in for this one. And he is, of course, a very good reading player, low approach rate player. So I expect this to be a very good pick for fresh off the boat to start us off.
Yeah, on the side of sleep accommodation, you do have Amamiya Kokoro, who I expect will look pretty good on a pick like this, but outside of that, you don't have anyone who's necessarily would expect to do really well on a pick like this. And so certainly think, like you said, fresh off the boat is going to be really favored here with their lineup.
Yeah, this Hidden 2, let's just put this clear. This Hidden 2 is not okay. It's brutal. It's super, super tough. Lots of aim control, lots of weird tapping sections as well, where you're going to have to kind of be prepared for those sections if you haven't prepared already. Reading, I mean, reading is the biggest factor in this, but yeah, there's so many more complications with this map that's going to make it so difficult for you to hold on if you're not comfortable on this. And we're already seeing in this early stage so many breaks. It is just Caleb and worst HR player holding onto any combo that's above 50. Nathan Ram finally gets there, but aside from that, we are seeing break after break from so many players. It is literally just Caleb and worst HR player holding onto a constant combo, which is going to have an insane level of advantages going in for fresh off the boat. Caleb may finally drop. It is just worst HR player, but generally that shared comfort from those two players is going to be what really carries fresh off the boat throughout this first half of the map. Worst HR player may finally drop, but it is a brutal first half here for sleep accommodation. They just can't get any combo.
Yeah, I like this new update to the client where all the names are red.
Yeah, I like this new update where every screen is just blinking red all the time. It's a pretty sick update from the tournament client. I needed that in my life.
Thank you, Peppy.
Yeah, I'm looking at like some of the sections in this map, and it's hard to tell because it's AR 7.5 even when you're spectating. But there are also rhythm changes in some of the space streams in this, like the place where both Caleb and worst HR player broke at the end of the last Ki time was normal 1-4 space stream into a higher spacing 1/3 stream. You can see the 1/6 there actually breaking the combo for both worst HR player and Caleb. These patterns are really, really hard. Amamiya Kokoro, by the way, shout outs to him, 150k, doing pretty well. Not quite as well as either C or worst HR player, but still very, very well. And everybody else is around 50k, 75k. So there's not much to write home about for anybody else in this lobby at the moment. It's really just those three players competing against each other. And unfortunately for sleep accommodation, two of them are on the side of fresh off the boat. So you get the classic 2v4 coming out from worst HR player and Caleb right now. 550k compared to the combined team score of 470k from Sleep Accommodation. Actually, that just went down by 20k, 30k, 40k because they're just all chain missing the ending here. Understandably so. The cut streams are disgusting. This map is ridiculous. 400k almost for worst HR player. Almost 1v4. Almost 1v4 on the Hidden 2 for worst HR player. Literally any of his teammates plus him is a 2v4, which is just kind of absurd. That guy's really good at low approach rate and reading. Not much else to say about it. Fresh off the boat with an early 2-0 lead.
Good.
Yeah,
he's
not
too
fair.
good.
That guy's too good at this.
Yeah. It's a super valiant effort from Amir Kokoro, kind of being the second highest score in the lobby, just outshining Caleb towards the very end. But just having 2 really good reading players on your team is better than 1 and 3 struggling on your team. So yeah, it is just as simple as that. The more comfortable players will win, and that is the first point for Fresh off the boat. What a score from Worst HR player. And when you know Worst HR player gets 400k on this map, that's how you know this map is absurdly difficult. The second highest score in the lobby is 200k. You know, that's how you know this map is absolutely absurd and one of the hardest maps in the pool, if not the hardest.
Yeah, and that's the ability that Worst HR player has on those really brutal, some of those reading aim control picks. Worst HR player will absolutely go off out of nowhere and put up crazy scores like that. One of the, of course, best aim control players in the world at the moment. So impressive to see. We're going to need a DT4 pick. Had to sneeze for a second, but we're back.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Greatly appreciated.
DT4 is the next map picked to accommodation.
This map is really interesting. It's originally a 110 BPM aim map, so like 220 BPM jumps, and that just gets buffed to 330 BPM jumps when you put it on double time. So AR 10.3, 330 BPM, effectively alt or 165 BPM streams, but with the spacing and patterning of jumps, which is really difficult on aim and aim control, obviously. Sleep Accommodation, though, a very good DT team, so I can see why they want to pick this. That said, the aim control roster for Fresh Off the Boat is next level, so I think this is going to be a very tough map to win, even with it being the second pick for Sleep Accommodation.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And, you know, the one thing that might help a little bit is the AR 10.3. I do think is better suited for Sleep Accommodation. You look at Worst HR player, who's typically absolutely insane on all of the aim control picks, and I think AR 10.3 will make this a little bit tougher, but honestly, all these players shouldn't have too tough of a time for 10.3, so I don't think it'll be a huge factor here. Especially with players like Rection, especially who you know are going to be more than comfortable with the AR 10.3, playing that hard rock so frequently. Same with Tingleton.
Plus, the note density on this is just kind of ridiculous anyway. So AR 10.3 is honestly a bit low for this map, just because, again, it's starting out as an AR 9 220 BPM jump map, which is, of course, very high density. So it's still going to be very high note density even on 10.3. Like you said, I don't think the approach rate is going to be the problem here for basically anyone. It's the skill cap, it's the aim control, it's the 330 BPM jump tapping. Can you alt jumps is a question that now gets asked on this map, because a lot of players really prefer single tapping jumps. And if you're not a full alt player all the time, finding the ability to alt jumps like this can be very, very difficult. That said, these are very good rosters for both of these teams. Worst HR player, MCY4, Rection, Dingleton in for Fresh Off the Boat, looking to take another break point away from Sleep Accommodation with Skral, Aimbot Cone, Amamiya Kokoro, and Lucrece in for this map. Lucrece, again, not an aim player, but very good aim control. Lucrece, I think, mainly, you know, famously hates squares, but also not particularly confident on super high spacing jumps. On something like this, I think he'll be relatively comfortable.
Yeah, I think for Sleep Accommodation, you're going to be looking towards players like Lucrease and Amami Kokoro to really put up those big combos and get them the point. Is going to be Rectagon with the first miss early on here.
Early drop from Rectagon fresh off the boat. As you already mentioned, this map is super intense. Lots of high BPM ult. No single tappers, I'm afraid. I think if we maybe had Nedorek on one team, we could maybe see that, but we are not seeing that today. Early misses from both Lucrease and Rectagon going to lead kind of an early advantage, but Aimbot Cone's going to be the next to drop here for Sleep Accommodation. Scrobble as well. Nearly a whole reason for Sleep Accommodation. It's just Amamiya Kurokuro holding on to any substantial combo, whereas YSA Char Player and MCY are hitting good patterns right now. Whereas the Char Player made job, and Amamiya Kurokuro, the only big combo, Sleep Accommodation is now gone. Full reset for Sleep Accommodation, whereas fresh off the boat look insanely dominant. We may see a lot of breaks here from 3 players, only having Kaden being the combo here for fresh off the boat, but comparing that to what Sleep Accommodation have another full reset, it's just not looking good so far. We are already about 600, 700,000 score difference, and the map's already over. I mean, there is no room to come back at all. Complete destruction from Flash off the boat on this DT4. Brilliant scores from both MCY4, Dingleton, and Western Child Play, and Rectagon also holding that 100k. Whereas unfortunately, Sleep Accommodation, the closest one to even the lowest score on Fresh off the boat is Amamiya Kokoro with 480k and climbing. No 500k for Amamiya Kokoro, fresh off the boat, dominate this DT4.
Yeah, 1 million points the difference on that one. It's a second break point now for Sleep Accommodation. You know, the last one, the Nomad 2, was at the very least close, and the scores look comparable, but now you're just getting blown out of the water on your own pick, and starts to get a little concerning. Fresh off the boat now has the pick.
And this is the trouble with picking this kind of aim control alt DT into a team like fresh off the boat. Again, you know, Sleep Accommodation is banning out kind of the aim control stuff in the Nomad pool, in the Hard Rock pool, banning out the Hard Rock 2 and the Nomad 5. Shout outs to Squirrel Pascals, by the way, for the custom Nomad 5 there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to see it played in this matchup, but the aim control on that map is nothing to scoff at. It's 145 BPM or 290 BPM jump style awkward aim control. And so if you're banning a stuff out like that, then picking into similar things in double time doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good pick just because it's in the DT pool. And I think Sleep Accommodation finding out the hard way that actually the aim control roster for fresh off the boat definitely beats them, even with the high approach rate, even with the DT mod on. And so starting off down 3-0, potentially 4-0 on this next pick for fresh off the boat. Really not the way that Sleep Accommodation wanted to start this match off. Again, looking for the rematch up against ESSA in the grand finals, but fresh off the boat on track for it here with the next pick as the No Mod 4. Going to be the next one up here. And somehow my map pool screen is dark. I don't know why. Let's refresh that.
Oh,
hello?
Well, let's do that.
Map pool?
Map pool, please.
Map pool is
map
gone.
Pool?
We are just seeing a beautiful background.
Hello?
And some upside down.
Apparently my Gosu got an error, and that's why it did that. Okay, well, hold on. Let me restart Gosu.
While I do that, I do think it's not unlikely that we just see the same lineup from fresh off the boat. You've got Decaton, you've got MCY4, Rectagon, and Worst HR, who are all great tech players. This is a team that, again, throughout the tournament has loved to pick tech, and they have looked incredibly strong on it. But Sleep Accommodation have quite a few good tech players as well. We see Lucrease sitting in the lobby all alone, facing off against the Big Four from fresh off the boat.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's safe to say that fresh off the boat 100% have a much stronger roster for this. I mean, all 4 of these players are really good. I mean, was a child player, MCY4, Nicholson, Rectagon. I mean, all 4 of these guys are known to be phenomenal on tech. But for Sleep Accommodation, despite having a bit of a disadvantage in terms of how strong the whole entire roster would be, they do still have some strong tech players to potentially contest a few of the scores. Amamiya Kokoro in particular being one big player that's going to do great. Maybe Nathan Ram. I think Nathan Ram's done quite good on tech recently, so maybe he'll be popped on for this. Granted, though, this No Mod 4 is pretty aim control heavy tech. I mean, something that definitely I could see Nathan Ram being picked for here. Quite a few flow patterns with alternating spacing and a few overlap here and there. It is a very fun No Mod 4. I'm sure many of you guys are aware of it. Speedrun by Camellia, Tech on difficulty, an iconic loved map, an iconic map here from Camellia, mapped by Akali. And yeah, Nathan Ram will be the 4th player here for Sleep Accommodation. Alamir Coco, Nathan Ram, Lucrease, and Squirrel. And for Fresh Off the Boat, we've already talked about it. A terrifying squad to be facing up against on a tech map.
Yeah.
I do.
This is very likely going to be a good point for Fresh Off the Boat. I mean, just the players on the left side of the screen right now are all absolutely absurd. That's not to say that the players for Sleep Accommodation are bad at tech. I think especially Amamiya Kokoro and Nathan Ram, like you said, Shiba, are going to be really good on this. But I think this is, again, a case where you're looking at Lucrease and Skrull to really step up and match the level of play coming out of the left side of the screen right now. Early breaks for both Rectagon and Lucrease here, but you have to favor Fresh Off the Boat on this pick overall with the strength of roster that they're able to put up. I mean, just Forum MCY4 Decaton on a tech map is so ridiculously strong that Rectagon almost feels like an afterthought. And to be saying that about a player like Rectagon is not something you do every day. That guy's a very good tech player as well, but just not as known for it, I think, as the other players on the same team, which is something for sure. Something.
I mean, yeah, the whole of Fresh Off the Boat are just star-studded, and considering Rectagon is more than capable on tech, but having teammates like those three you've already mentioned is just unreal. But at the moment, it is looking really even going into this first quarter so far. Nathan Ram, unfortunately, going to drop. One of those big tech type Sleep Accommodation is gone. But that is traded by Decaden. Combo advantage does go in favor of Sleep Accommodation. The score is soon going to flip as long as there aren't any more major breaks. Rector and MCY4 go down. It's just Wednesday Chart Player going into this main section with a big combo, whereas Lucrease and Alamir Coco are holding on to substantial combo. Advantage is soon going to flip unless there's a drop, and there it is. Alamir Kokoro's gone.
Nope, Bancho.
Fighting. Oh, no, it's not. Bancho. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I take that back. Alamir Kokoro still holds. MCY4 drops again. Big advantage Sleep Accommodation. It's not over just yet. It seems like this insane team is getting contested, but we're seeing a triple break from Sleep Accommodation. And with that, I mean, look at Worst HR player. He's still going.
Props to Lucrease as well. I said it was going to be up to Lucrease and Skrull to play up to the level of the players on Fresh Off the Boat, and Lucrease definitely up to the task. 220, 230k, better than anybody besides Worst HR player on the side of Fresh Off the Boat, and top scoring for his team right now. So even in spite of this 290k score from Worst HR player on Fresh Off the Boat, the score is neck and neck right now. Another reset to come through for Worst HR player does mean that the score is going to be about even, and it's slowly going the way of Sleep Accommodation with that combo on Nathan Ram right now during the slow section. The only player to hold a big combo through the end of that first difficult half of the map. As we get into the last third or so of this pick, it's again just neck and neck between the two teams. Relatively big combo on MCY4 on the side of Fresh Off the Boat as well. Lucrease and Amamiya Kokoro will drop going into this section. Rectagon will follow with the chain miss. And Worst HR player to also find the break. It's MCY4 with the big combo versus Nathan Ram and Skrull. He drops, so it's Nathan Ram drops as well. And MCY4 and Dingleton are the only ones with combo. Dingleton will find the drop, but MCY4 will continue the fight for Fresh Off the Boat, and no one on Sleep Accommodation with any kind of counter here at the back half of the map.
It's all MCY. It's all on MCY4 so far. Constant drops on either side. It was looking so even. But MCY4, huge combo that's going to back up their team in this major late stage of the map where the difficulty is going to ramp up. And that's where the big scores are going to matter. And despite MCY4 dropping, that big combo has helped his team so much, from making it a back and forth lead trade to a secure lead of about 100k for Fresh Off the Boat. And that combo alone has led to a huge recovery from Worst HR player, Dingleton, Rectagon a little bit, and what MCY are also recovering from that break. But unfortunately for Sleep Accommodation, despite putting up such a valiant fight, that late stage consistency and that late stage comfort, that high skill cap comfort, has come to save Fresh Off the Boat in this incredibly close number 4. Fresh Off the Boat, 4-0 up on this insane number 4 map.
Yeah, that's the kind of performance you want to see from your specialists on this map. Worst HR player and MCY4 both top scoring the lobby there. 530k for worst HR player, 460k for MCY4. The next highest, Nathan Ram and Amamiya Kokoro on the side of Sleep Accommodation. The players we expected to do really well, doing really well on this. And to their credit, Skrull in the crease, playing up to the level of Rectagon and Decaton on this map. It really was decided by the specialists and how good those specialists can be on a map like this in grand finals at the highest level. And, worst HR player, MCY4, 2 of the best in the world. So, worst HR player especially, everyone saw what he did for Team South Korea last year in OWC. He's only been getting better, only been playing the game more. And that kind of dominance on these sorts of picks is what we have come to expect in the tournament community from this man.
Yeah, but the Sleep Accommodation, making it close, is going to give them some much-needed confidence, I think, going into the rest of this match to hopefully take at least a point, and they do still have some options left in this pool, and I'm curious if after that one they go towards something like the Fremont 2, which is that other tech pick in the pool, but again, Fresh Off the Boat has such a scary roster for it that Sleep Accommodation players would again need to put up some insane performances to match. But it's hard to find other picks here for them. I'm not sure you want to go for the Nomod 3, the Fremont 3. Those are both pretty aim control heavy. And then there's all the aim picks, the Nomod 1, Hidden 1, Hard Rock 1, and the DT 1 that are anyone's game, but I like depending on the mod category. They're going to be slightly Fresh Off the Boat favored, especially the Nomod and the Hard Rock 1. HD1 may be a little bit more contested here.
I mean, I think both these teams are quite good on aim. I think those have been quite contested, and we can tell because these haven't been picked yet, or bad. It's safe to say both these teams know it's their each other's respective strengths, and I think one of the strategies when both teams have such a good picks is that you want to save them. You want to wait for a team to pick it, and Sleep Accommodation is going to be the first one to lose the game of aim chicken. Nomod 1 has been picked for Sleep Accommodation. It's safe to say it's going to be a close one, assuming that there aren't any major breaks out of nowhere, considering Nomod 1 has always been that map where it is a scary map, whether you're a player or a spectator, because misses, major run-ending misses are what consists the most in this Nomod 1. Punishment, retribution difficulty, absurd levels of jump consistency with some crazy diff spikes and a few streams and tapping patterns as well. Despite it mostly having aim, it does have a few scary sections of tapping that you have to be aware of, because you could get jump scared, you could get a stream jump scare and lose your so long developed combo, which could lead to a major drop. So this is going to be one of those maps that's going to be extremely close, I think.
Yep. Do you think we could see Lesbury in for the first time in this match, but might be too late stage for Lesbury. We'll see. Definitely do expect to see Lacreuse in for this one.
To be fair, Lesbury does have full combos on all 3 because maybes. I don't know if he full combos on 3, but like
that's wild.
He has like his top plays are all because maybe. Like his 3 top plays are because maybe part 1, 2, and 3 in no particular order. So like I don't know, aim consistency. This guy's pretty good at that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's pretty alright. Yeah, okay, it's a 4 miss on part 3, but he has a 4x 100 FC on part 2 and a 13-100 FC on part 1. So yeah, he set 3 800s and they're all on because maybe. Which
there you go. And
yeah.
There he is in the lobby. Looks like we're gonna have Scroll in as the 4th player for Sleep Accommodation. Just waiting for that last player from Fresh on the Boat, and our questions have been answered very quickly. Worst HR player in the lobby.
Worst HR player in as final player for Fresh Off the Boat. Rectagon, MCY4, and Dingleton being in as well as the other 3 players. Yeah, I mean, we all know that all of these players are very capable. I mean, of course, you do have some players in which aim isn't their primary skill set, but still very much a core strength. Amamiya Kokoro, MCY4, 2 players who, despite being very well known on tech and alt and hard rock specifically, AIM is still a very comfortable map for them. They're still more than capable. Worst HR player as well. I think Worst HR player is a little underrated on conventional AIM, despite being great on aim control. It's safe to say that he's definitely capable on maps like this. And now that you mentioned LessBerry having those insane experience with aim consistency at a very high level, I mean, because maybe not only very long, but very difficult overall. So yeah, safe to say these guys are going to tough it out for sure, duke it out, and Richo is actually going to be the final player, not Scrowell, which I guess doesn't surprise me too much.
That's not... that surprises me. That is not what I expected to see out of this roster. I really don't know Rico as an aim player, kind of at all. Very often when I see him in tournaments, he's in for just speed and streams, and even looking at his top plays, you know, Sad Spring DT, Snow Sleep Nomad, Snowstorm Euphoria DT, Kobito DT, United DT, like none of these are really aim maps. So it kind of matches what I know of him in tournaments. So it's a very surprising move to me to get Rico in for this one. I would have expected even Welter to come in, although one thing to note, Welter is at a LAN event right now in Russia, so I don't know if he's actually here. We are getting an abort, by the way, because there are only 3 players in for Fresh Off the Boat. Don't know who left.
Oops.
But that is going to be an abort. So I'm going to go ahead and get that sorted. Yeah, I'm very confused by Rico being in, but you know, maybe with Welter at the LAN, he actually can't play right now. Maybe Scrawl just not feeling comfortable on this. I'm also surprised by Lucrece being in again. Not really a Nomad 1 style aim player, at least from what I know of him. So I would have expected other players to go in for sleep accommodation in favor of Rico and Lucrece, but this is going to be the roster for them, so they're going to run with it. Down 4-0, they picked the Nomad 1. They put this roster together, so let's see what they got.
Do you think Lucrece should be solid on the Nomad 1? I think Lucrece has been looking good. Scroll apparently having internet issues, so that's why they've got Rico in instead. Really unfortunate for them.
That's a tough issue to have. Not only one of your big players being gone for a LAN, but on top of that, you have another player who can play, but struggles with internet to the degree that they can't. Yeah. That's going to be a rough situation for sleep accommodation, especially considering that this is their pick. Such awful timing for them, unfortunately. But it's safe to say they could still do something. Richo, despite not having major good scores, this map is a lot kind of fast, very mechanicsy, very high aim speed scaling. So if you can handle these high BPM jumps, then you could perform something spectacular. It's the consistency where I'm a little bit worried about here for Rico. And unfortunately, he's struggling a little bit. But looking at the other scores from both these teams, Lucrece is another player to drop the sleep accommodation. And it's just Rexagon being the other break from Fresh Off the Boat. Aside from that, all 3, MCY4, Where's the Child Player, and Dingleton holding really good. LessBerry and Kokoro are putting up a good fight, keeping 2 combos at bay. But unfortunately, that other third FC remains uncontested. Rico just looks so uncomfortable, not able to get a major combo on the ground. Lucrece may be getting a bit of recovery, but it's not going to be major enough to make a huge fight. Rectagon with that one singular break, aside from that, looking really comfortable with 99.5 accuracy to completely obliterate any recovering combo that's trying to fight him back. Yeah, MCY4 may drop, so it does lead to a 2 FC difference, but the recovery combo from Rectagon is going to be really valuable here and kind of suppressing it, but Dingleton drops, but so does only a Kokoro. It's traded, crisis averted for Fresh Off the Boat. LessBerry and Wesley Child Player duking it out. And Lucrece with the big recovery is going to be kind of valuable now, as it's slowly going to ease more into sleep accommodation as long as we don't see any major breaks. MCY4 and Dingleton are both going to drop, but going into that big throwing section, a huge drop from everybody except for Rectagon, who's now
and
the big
LessBerry.
combo in the
LessBerry is still on the full combo.
Oh!
LessBerry is still on the full combo right now. The only player to keep the full combo alive. Worst HR player dropped on the stream there right at the end of that other difficult section. LessBerry will trade it on the 1/3 there as well. So Rectagon's combo now the biggest in the lobby. Lucrece and Amamiya Kokoro with a little bit of backing combo for sleep accommodation, but they can't even match worst HR player. So this score lead will go back to Fresh Off the Boat. There's a quarter of the map left, so anything can still happen. It is very close between the two teams right now. as everyone doing their best to hold on to as much combo as possible. Overall high ACK for Rectagon, MCY4, and Lucrece right now. MCY4 will trade the miss with Rico there, but that's a better trade for Sleep Accommodation.
Turn back and forth.
It's still not enough for Sleep Accommodation to take the point back. Lesperi will find the miss as well, and that's untraded by any of the combos on Fresh Off the Boat. It's only Lucrece and Amamiya Kokoro versus Rectagon, Worst HR Player, and Dingleton right now. And with more misses there for Lesperi and Rico, it might just be the end of this map. Dingleton will trade the miss, but that is a 40k score lead. That's not going anywhere now with that drop from Lucrece. Worst HR Player will trade it, but Rectagon and Amamiya Kokoro trade at the end there, and it's a big drop from Amamiya Kokoro. Almost 100,000 score by the end of it, off the chain misses from Sleep Accommodation at the end of the map. And despite the massive effort from Lesperi there, holding the biggest combo, only 1k combo on the board, as well as top scoring the lobby, it's just not enough. The missing player in Scrowl, just too much to bear for the rest of the roster, and Sleep Accommodation now down 5-0 after that third breakpoint in a row taken against them, unanswered off of Fresh Off the Boat, and that... it's just a tough spot to be in. Fresh Off the Boat has looked really good all tournament. They were the team in winners finals as well, and it looks like they are aiming to keep that dominance alive in this losers finals.
Yeah, you look at the scores across the lobby everywhere else, I don't think that a single person except for Decatur, who is at something like 398, was under 400k, and then you've got Rico, of course, down at 200. You have to think Skrull would have made the difference there, so it's so unfortunate that he was unable to play. And I feel like in this position, having one of your players not be able to play, especially losing because of that player not being able to play, is so demoralizing. Now you're down 5-0, you have potentially one pick left, and that was, of course, your own pick yet again, and so feels like things are quickly falling by the wayside for Sleep Accommodation here.
Do you want to give a shout out, by the way, to the custom mapper for Nomad 1 Vermasium? Made that Nomad 1 for the tournament, so solid map, but unfortunately not working out as a pick for Sleep Accommodation. Another custom map picked up here by Fresh Off the Boat in Hidden 3. This one mapped by Jordan. 7.7 stars, 175 BPM, Floame Tech in the Hidden Pool.
You really can't help but feel bad for Sleep Accommodation struggling. They've had multiple maps now where the closest of fights that they could have won just by a little bit, but unfortunately missing out, and now they're 5-0 down with Fresh Off the Boat. With this next pick, could secure TB and match point, with Sleep Accommodation having 0 picks on the board. And in a situation like this where it's do or die, like, it's scary.
Yeah, and Fresh Off the Boat have so many pick options left. They've got the Nomad 3 alt pick, they've got the Free Mod 3, another alt pick, even the Free Mod 2, which is the Free Mod tech pick, is going to look really good for them. And so we'll wait and see what they choose here. But they certainly do have a lot of options still that are going to favor them fairly heavily. And it looks like we're getting the HD3.
Yes, we are getting the Hidden 3. Like I said, custom map by Jordan in the Hidden Pool, kind of alt-tech hybrid pick. And mostly Floame tech, though. I mean, this is just a really, really difficult slider map with very, very high spacing, variable pattern Floame in it as well, which makes it so difficult. You can see already a little bit of finger control, a little bit of wiggle aim control, a little bit of stop and go, cut, accel, decel streams in this map as well, which is just kind of nutty. Rectagon, MCY4, Dingleton, Worst HR Player in for Fresh Off the Boat, which is a nasty aim control flow aim tech roster. Amamiya Kokoro, Nathan Ram, Lucrece, and Lesperi in again for Sleep Accommodation here. Amamiya Kokoro, the player to watch out for, as he and Worst HR Player are the only two with combo intact after that first KI.
Yeah, with the Hidden especially on this pick, I imagine Worst HR Player and Amamiya Kokoro are going to be having a battle throughout this map, and it may very well come down to the supporting combos, and of course it's going to depend on if Amamiya Kokoro can continue to match Worst HR Player, but we've seen more misses out of Sleep Accommodation here, as Fresh Off the Boat have the better supporting combo with Rectagon and MCY recovering. Nathan Ram, Lesperi, Lucrece. There goes Amamiya Kokoro now. Big combo down for Sleep Accommodation. Traded back by Worst HR Player though.
with that drop from Amir Kokoro, the big contesting combo is gone, but even then, even if it's traded by West A Char player, just the general consistency and comfort from Fresh Off the Boat, out comboing and out just generally performing Sleep Accommodation is going to lead to a 300,000 lead. 300,000 score lead going into this final third. And this map is brutal. Incredible levels of finger and aim control. Like, this is one of the harder maps in the pool by far. And despite a valiant effort from Amir Kokoro in that first half, now that everybody's struggling, Sleep Accommodation can't put a combo on the ground. They can't get major combo to try and fight back and gain the lead. And that 300,000 lead is getting close now to 400,000. There just doesn't seem like to be any room for Sleep Accommodation, because even though Fresh Off the Boat are breaking a ton, so are Sleep Accommodation. They just can't get anything back. It's their map to lose at the moment, and they just can't get anything back. And Amir Kokoro with massive violent shakes, having that top score, unfortunately struggling to not get any combo on the ground. It's such Sleep Accommodation because they're just winning. Fresh Off the Boat are just winning, and it's another win on this hidden through Fresh Off the Boat. The comfort overall just completely outshines Sleep Accommodation's efforts, and Fresh Off the Boat flawlessly at match point.
Yeah, that's I mean, just look at the best score for Sleep Accommodation is 330k on Amir Kokoro. Okay, Dingleton is matching that. You have 420k on Worst HR player, another 300k on M2I4. Sure, Rectagon is at 160k, but Nathan Ram and Lucrece are at 140k, and the Sperry can only put up 170k. So yeah, you've got Amir Kokoro kind of matching the high scores coming out of Fresh Off the Boat, but the rest of the team just does not have that same level of comfort, like you said. And because of that, you're going to get a massive team gap over 300k, almost 400k in favor of Fresh Off the Boat. And this is kind of what we identified from the start of this match, right? That the aim control, the tech, the ult for Fresh Off the Boat, their roster on these kinds of maps has depth to it. They have 5 or 6 players that they can pick from to go in for stuff like this. Whereas Sleep Accommodation, they got one player in that lobby who was really, truly comfortable on the map, and that was it. The rest of the roster just did not look comfortable whatsoever. So forget getting 4th player gap. They're getting 2nd player gap on something like that, and it shows. It's very, very tough to put together rosters for a map like that is so difficult, especially throughout the tournaments and throughout grand finals when there are multiple picks like that. But there's only so much you can do to try and win those picks as Fresh Off the Boat when you really just don't have the comfort for your roster or the strength of roster to deal with it. It is going to be the free mod 4 pick now for Sleep Accommodation. This is their last chance. They are down match point 6-0 for Fresh Off the Boat, and Sleep Accommodation need to try to start up a reverse sweep if they want any hope of staying in this tournament and making it to grand finals.
Yeah. I mean, if they get back against the wall, their backs are literally like starting to merge with the brick. They're so behind. And this is the last hope of this pool that they could try and get a point on the board. This is a desperation moment here for Sleep Accommodation. Just Fresh Off the Boat, just looking so insanely dominant. And with that, Fremont 4 is what could be the final pick of this Losers Grand Finals. A custom song, Sinchi versus Azali, To Dust Thou Shalt Return, one of our lovely custom songs in this pool.
This one mapped by Gordon, so huge shout out to Gordon for the free mod 4. Do expect we're going to see Amami Kokoro in on the hidden for Sleep Accommodation, and free mod always poses an interesting question, right? It's, do you put Amami Kokoro on the hidden? Because Amami Kokoro is obviously a great hidden player, or do you just throw Amami Kokoro on the no-mod, try and let them put up that big no-mod combo, make things a little bit easier, and hope to get more score that way, but I do think it will just be Kokoro on the hidden this time around. And if Fresh Off the Boat can get the 7-0 here, it's going to be really nice for them going into their match against ESSA, because their goal, of course, is to give up as little information as possible. The more maps that are played, the more information that ESSA has to work with going into the next match. And so 7-0 is going to be a big help to them.
Final pick, back against the wall, do or die for Sleep Accommodation. They've made a valiant run so far, and they've had multiple, and I mean multiple, very valiant attempts throughout this match, and just barely missing out, just barely choking towards the end in the most important parts. It looked doable for multiple times, but this is their last shot. If they lose this, then it's over, and they're out of the tournament, and their chances of getting revenge on ESSA, the winners bracket grand finals, is just looking tough.
And I'm wondering if we're actually, for Fresh Off the Boat, just going to see Reki and Dingleton on the Hard Rock and see the other two on the HD.
I do believe you need, I think the free mod rule is 3 modded players, if I'm remembering correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. It has been, I've been casting a bunch of different tournaments with all different kinds of free mod rules, so I may be wrong. But
I'm on it.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I thought it was at least one hidden, at least one hard rock. But
oh no, it is one hidden, one hard rock, and force mod for the other players.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we're not seeing easier flashlights. So you're looking at hard rock for multiple members at least. So it's also going to be hard rock for MCY4 on this pick. So triple hard rock for Fresh Off the Boat, hidden on worst stage
and for
R
sleep
players.
accommodation.
Yeah, same for them as well. Triple hard rock for sleep accommodation and hidden for Amamiya Kokoro, Lesperi, Skrull, and Lucrece to join as well for sleep accommodation. And I think Skrull is finally back after internet problems, so hopefully not too late for sleep accommodation to put something on the board and potentially start up a comeback, but it is very late into the match now, 6-0 for Fresh Off the Boat as we get into what could be the final pick of the match. What could be sleep accommodation's last pick as well, with next pick going to Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah, we're already... Oh, go on, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Lesperi's already found the miss, and so is Amamiya Kokoro, and seems like consensus is that hard rock is the way to go on this map, and so far, Worst HR player has gotten the better of this matchup with Amamiya Kokoro, but Worst HR and Rekigon do find misses, going to even things out. It's 2 FCs to 2, and take it back, Lucrece will drop as well, making it 1 FC for sleep accommodation.
Yeah, so far so good. Sleep accommodation are unfortunately struggling, but for Fresh Off the Boat, it's 2 FCs, 2-1. Recoveries are a little bit, I'd say a tiny bit in favor of sleep accommodation, but it's really not going to be enough to potentially overtake. Rectagon may go down, but that's not the combo that you want. MCY4 and Dingleton are the 2 big guys that you want to see gone. Both on the hard rock, both dropping a little bit of accuracy, specifically Dingleton, and down he goes finally on that big burst. MCY4 now with the big combo that's trying to fight back, but Strowo goes down. The big combo that you want, the hope to finally come back to maybe get yourself a point on the board, drops his combo. MCY4 may go down as well, but now it's Rectagon facing Amamiya Kokoro for that #1 recovery combo. Dingleton though, everyone here from Fresh Off the Boat managed to recover past 150. Lesperi drops once again, and Amamiya Kokoro's down. It's just Lucrece holding on.
Wow, that
way.
Yeah,
Reset.
that is
a full 4-way reset for sleep accommodation. It could not get more disastrous than that. Fresh Off the Boat just completely excelling now going into this final ending section. It's just a huge burst of score for Fresh Off the Boat now. Because yeah, that 4-way reset had to be disastrous, and a few more combo drops as well. I think it's too little too late. Sleep accommodation, despite valiant effort, are going to be knocked out, and it is Fresh Off the Boat who have granted themselves the opportunity to face ESSA in the grand finals.
That is all she wrote for sleep accommodation, and unfortunately they just looked uncomfortable on the grand finals pool. And that is the tough thing about grand finals, is not only do you have to be comfortable generally on all the skill sets in a map pool, you have to be able to go the distance in a best of 13 on this type of really difficult pool, but you also have to have scaling on all of your members to be able to do so. Otherwise you lose out on the ability to pick certain maps. And losing out on that ability in grand finals when other teams in that weekend likely don't is basically a death sentence, and it feels like that's a bit of what happened to sleep accommodation here. You could feel the outscaling on picks like the Hidden 3 or the Hidden 2, especially from sleep accommodation's members on the Hidden pool in particular. And like you said, Shiba, despite a lot of really close maps, none of them going the way of sleep accommodation, and Fresh Off the Boat on many picks, just wiping the floor with them, coming out 7-0 with the clean sweep. So congratulations to Sleep Accommodation for making it to the Grand Finals weekend and making it to top 3. But more so, congratulations to Gosu Memory. Gosu Memory.
Gosu Memory.
Yeah.
Gosu Memory, everyone. This is why I prefer laser. Congratulations more so to Fresh Off the Boat for the 7-0 win. They took every single nap and made sure that it was not close. There we go. Thank you, Gosu Memory. All right.
Well, with that, yeah, Fresh Off the Boat, they've made it, and with a very dominant victory as well, looking strong, hoping to carry that momentum on to face ESSA in the Grand Finals. You can't help but feel bad for Sleep Accommodation here, because these guys are so good, such a talented team with great players, just unfortunately put in some tough circumstances, not only missing a very big player in your roster, but having lost players in very important maps and having lost maps in such close fashion. You could have thought in a different close reality, we could have seen a bit of a closer matchup here. But Fresh Off the Boat, it's safe to say they looked strong, they looked ready, and they completely shredded this match. And earningly so, they've earned their spot in the Grand Finals facing ESSA. And it's safe to say it's going to be an absolute banger match. The number 1 and number 2 seed duking it out for the championship, for the tournament, and for that big, beautiful trophy.
Yep, and that is going to be 15 UTC tomorrow, so we will see you guys all back at the same time tomorrow. Thank you so much, Dio and Shiva, for commentating with me today, and of course, to our ref. I hope you guys all have a good one, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.